Watson, Mayor Schobelum,
Here.
and Mayor Robinson is absent. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
With liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Okay, public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda, and before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Nancy?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Hovel. I am the president of the Cannon Valley Fair Board. I do live in the country, but a Cannon Falls address out on County Road 25. You want the whole thing? That's good enough?
Yeah.
All right. You know, we have this 101st Cannon Valley Fair coming up, July 1st through the 4th. I would like to send an invitation to everyone to come down to our fair and partake of, it's fun. It really is. We like to know it known as a fun fair. And I'd also like to thank you for your donation towards the fair every year. It's been pretty consistent the last few years, and I'd just like to share with you some of the costs that the Fair Board does encounter, like with the parade. The parade usually has 80 to 90 entries. We have one of the best parades around. And some of the costs that are involved with that. The Rochester Shriners, the cyclists, they're $750. The Osmond Shriners, the little mini mites, they were new the last couple of years, they're $750. The big Belgium horses that, we have in there, we usually have the Wolf set and the Schreibers. One of them is $400, the other's $470. Last year we had the Cannon Falls Steel Drum Band. That was $400. Any marching bands can cost up to $1,000 to have them. And we also use the school parking lot for lining everything up, and we get the police department that helps us immensely with that. And we have to rent, of course, little portable restrooms so everybody can make it through the long parade route. So it's all organized by volunteers. That's what the Cannon Valley Fair Board is volunteers. So as you know, anyone who's been there, there's thousands of people, right, that come for the parade. And like I said, 80 to 90 entries. We've got Jim Nelson this year who's been in charge of taking the entries. It takes a lot of work. The day of the parade, it takes 10 to 12 volunteers just to line everybody up, So that, with all the mailings and everything, that costs a lot. Okay, the fireworks. Last year, for our 100th year, we did a little extra special fireworks. The fireworks cost us $10,050. The $50 is for the permit from the city to have the fireworks. So, that $10,000, that's a big chunk of money. We also have a demolition derby that brings in 85 entries from all over, from Wisconsin, from Iowa, from all over the metro. So we have a good turnout for that. The truck and tractor pull, we have 60 plus entries for that. So these people come to town, a lot of them from far away, have to buy gas to get back home. You know, so they're supporting the community also. The harness horse races are on the 4th. We average about 65 horses that race on that day. We have had a high of 104, right, horses. So I just, again, want to thank you for your support, and just would like to know if there's a possibility we could maybe get a little more help, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of money.
Can you just refresh everybody's mind of how much the city does give you per year?
$5,000.
It is 5,000.
Yes, 5,000, yes. And like I say, we appreciate that, but it takes a lot of hours, and a lot of work, and it's a community event. This year, what we're doing is we are inviting all the community, am I close to my 3?
You're fine.
Okay. I have a problem.
You're over.
Yeah, I'm over, okay.
You're fine.
You aren't surprised, are you?
Nope.
No, we want to get the Lions, the Masons, the KCs, the Girl Scouts, the 4-H. We're going to set them up in our Centennial building, make that a community building, and have information available how people can join these organizations in our community. Have a table with people manning it to talk about their organization. So that's just,
So currently, each year you have to submit a request, correct? For a city to have the donation. We still do that, correct?
Yeah, it's a funding agreement that's signed by a Fair Board representative. We send that out. But the budget is actually adopted the prior year, so we've adopted it for this year.
Right.
And then what I would suggest is that they put a request in for an increase for consideration.
That was going to be, I just wanted to make sure we were still following that procedure,
Yes, we are.
so.
and
So that would be my recommendation, Nancy, would be to, prior to our budget meetings, which start in September, August, that,
you want me back. That's a
all
good
all
sign.
you have to do is put it in writing. Not that we don't want you back, because we'd be happy to have you back, but if you would put that in writing and put what you feel would be an appropriate increase for a request, then the city, when they're doing their budgets, would make the decision if they want to meet that request or compromise somewhere in between.
Okay. My main goal tonight is to invite you all to the 101st Cannon Valley Fair. Hope to see you there.
Won't miss it.
All right. Thank you.
Nancy.
Thanks.
The fair is a lot of fun.
I'm Kelsey Addy. I live on County 25 as well. And I guess I just want to speak. I realize there's no decisions being made tonight, but just speak in support of the fair. I think my first memories of 4th of July were always setting up chairs downtown and going to watch the parade, and then going and watching the fireworks, and oftentimes not even on the fairgrounds for either of those activities, and probably didn't even realize that those were supported by the fair and all done by the fair. But as I grew, I joined 4-H, became really involved in that, and then the fair became a meeting place for not only youth who exhibited both like in the buildings and livestock, but also with community members who don't always see other activities besides, outside of school and all of that. I just think the fair offer is a wonderful amenity that Cannon Falls has to offer both its residents and all the people in the surrounding areas. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the good thing about the fair, it's the first fair in Minnesota, I believe, every year.
Yep.
And it gets the 4-H'ers and FFA and them all ready to go on to the county fairs, and it is a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll have a good year. Okay. I don't see anybody else that wants to talk, so we'll go to the consent agenda. Items on this area of the agenda may be adopted, or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. A, just and correct claims. Accounting period ending June 3rd, 2016. Meeting minutes for May 17th, 2016, City Council meeting. C is second reading and adoption of Ordinance 345 and summary and publication renewing Dakota Electric franchise agreements. D is a part-time police officer hire. E is Resolution 2203, approving limited use permit with MnDOT. F is accept and approve hiring of the new fire personnel. And G is hire unscheduled part-time ambulance employees. Do I hear anyone want to bring anything down? Anybody want anything down? If not?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Do we, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Okay. So council business. A is Resolution 2204, providing for the issuance and sale of $2,480,000 of general obligation bonds, Series 2016A, pledging for the security therefore, special assessments and net revenues and levy a tax for payment thereof. With that, we will have, I'll have you introduce them.
Yeah, Council George has been in front of you before, but I'll introduce George Eilertson from Northland Securities, who can explain the bid process for the bonds that occurred this morning at 10:30.
Thank you, Ron. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. On your tables this evening, I put a bond sale report in front of you. As you may recall, I was here April 19th. At that time, we reviewed the West Side 2 preliminary financing plan, and the council awarded a resolution calling for a bond sale to take place today. So that's what occurred. We took financing bids this morning at 10:30. And before I go too much further, I should highlight the bond rating that the city, the bond rating with Standard & Poor's was affirmed. And that's not in the report that I put in front of you, but I just want to hit a couple of highlights. The city, or Standard & Poor's rather, affirmed the city's AA- bond rating. As you know from my presentations in the past, this is your credit score, if you will. From AAA being the highest down to municipalities that issue bonds non-rated. And as I tell municipalities throughout the state, any municipality, city, county, school in the AA category is considered a very strong credit. So you're in that category at the AA-. So congratulations. And just a couple bullet points that are highlights of the assignment to the rating. They noted strong management with good financial policies and practices. Second, strong budgetary performance with operating surpluses in the general fund. And third, very strong budget flexibility with strong available fund balances. So those are three key criteria that they looked at. And of course, your location with proximity between Rochester and the Twin Cities is certainly advantageous to you as well. So the better the credit rating, the lower you can borrow money at, the lower interest rates. And so we took your financing out to bid this morning. If you open up that packet to the first page, page 2 on the inside cover there, we received 3 financing bids. Robert W. Baird out of Milwaukee is the low bid. 2 other bids were United Bankers Bank and Stifel Nicholas. Now you see under Robert W. Baird, there's a lot of other names in a smaller font. What that means is you saw a grouping of investment banks come together and bid together. Not unusual, and so that's why it may limit the number of bids. You might see a greater number if they didn't group together like that. But nonetheless, you got a very strong bid. We look at the far right-hand column, which is true interest cost, 2.27%. So I looked back at when I was here, April 19th, and that figure was, as I flip around here a little bit, we're at a 2.27 now. We were at a 2.32 then. So certainly a positive trend for the city. You picked a good day to sell bonds, I'll say. So that's the resolution that you have in front of you this evening. By awarding that, you would award the low bid to Robert W. Baird. As I indicated earlier, this is for West Side 2 financing. You would receive the proceeds of this bond issue in the month of June, right at the end of June. So you'd be locking in those interest rates today, receiving the proceeds at the end of the month. The call date for this particular bond issue is February 1st, 2024. That's the date that you could prepay or refinance the bonds. So prepayment might be if you've got a fair amount of special assessments on this. For example, if a lot of people prepay assessments, when we reach that call date, what we might do is downsize or downsize the principal, buy down the principal. Or if the market is favorable like it is now, out in 2024, you might consider a refinance. So that's something that we keep in touch with your city staff on. So that's the highlights, Council. I know that was kind of the abbreviated presentation, but in summary, very strong credit rating for the city leads to very favorable borrowing. And of course, you're in a very good market as well. Very recently, we were hitting a 40-year low in the bond market. So we're borrowing in the twos, which certainly is a nice first number when you're borrowing, first number for the interest rates. So Mayor or Council, anybody have any questions?
It's great.
Yes, nice results. Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution providing for the issuance and sale of the 2
So moved.
million? Okay,
Second.
second. Okay, I got a motion to approve and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Okay. Okay, B is to approve public improvement in special assessments agreement. Ron?
Okay. In the memo, I said I'd be presenting another final agreement. And actually, the agreement that's in your packet is really a final agreement. The only thing I need from you is we had 2 items on unfinished business related to that agreement that don't specifically get spelled out, but I'd like to see it in a motion. And that's with the separate agreement, which is for those folks that want to replace their lead water service lines, or if they want to replace their sanitary sewer service line also, then we would enter into an agreement. This is separate from the regular special assessment, the 429 process. This would be a separate agreement that we'd enter into with those folks. But we want to, for simplicity's sake and for fairness to the owners, we want to make sure that this agreement is also 15 years. So we're establishing a 15-year payback for not only this agreement, but we're setting it for the, once we have the final assessments, that we'll be setting it for 15 years and at the interest rate of 3.75. 3 3/4% interest payback. So that's what the recommendation would be, to motion for a 15-year assessment on the project, including this agreement, and at 3.75% interest, which I've never seen before in a special assessment agreement that low.
It's low.
I move to approve that.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion and second. Any discussion? Not that. If I don't hear any, All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. That's been easy tonight. Okay, reports.
Just a quick update on the street project. The contractor got started last Tuesday, putting the pipe in on Hoffman and 6th, and they're worked their way up to 8th Street already. They did work Saturday, so we apologize if we inconvenienced anybody, but they had to make up for the rain day on Tuesday. They anticipate not working a lot of Saturdays, but if they do, there may be a couple. But so far, so good. Any questions? Anybody has any concerns with the project? Feel free to call City Hall or call myself or my field guy out there in the field. Thanks.
Tom?
The citywide cleanup day, the numbers were down at what they've been in the past. We run that program every 2 years. There's kind of a rush at first, and then things were a lull after that. But all in all, we collected a lot of junk. And I'd like to thank Dale Gibson and all of his staff for all the time and money and cooperation from Dale and the staff. That was greatly appreciated.
That's good. Chief?
A couple of things. First, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, the 16th, will be the North Star Bike Grand Prix. So there will be street closures. Some will be at the race beginning times, and then things will reopen. Then we're closed again for the kids' bike race. So I want to remind parents and kids to come on down for that. We've got quite a variety of ages that participate in that. It's a good time. That is, I believe, at 6 o'clock. And then we will also be closing the rest of the route when it gets close to the bikers coming back in. And then, of course, it'll remain closed through the circuit and when the women come in. And then after that, we'll reopen it. So there may be some temporary disruption in the routes people are normally used to taking. We'll do our best to get them around and to where they need to be. But if there are bikers on the course, they're just going to be stuck waiting. The other thing that I asked would be an action item from council. This would be a street closure for June 18th. If you recall, in May, I brought forward a list of street closures for the summer and fall. I inadvertently missed this one. This would be for the VFW. I prepped up a memo and distributed it to the dais ahead of the meeting, as well as to Linnell and their administrator. So what I would ask would be council to authorize the temporary closing of Veterans Lane on June 18th between the hours of 3 p.m. and 11 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I apologize for needing special action on it, but timing-wise, it didn't fit for me getting it on the agenda, and I couldn't extend it till the next meeting. So thank you very much.
Ron?
I have one item, and that is the application, the legacy grant application for 3rd Street Bridge was submitted it was May 27th, Friday, on our behalf, and we'll find out. I'm not sure about the timing on it as far as when we find out if it's approved or not, but that was for the design and construction plans for the 3rd Street Historic Bridge.
Linnell? Earl?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I just have one item, and I have to apologize because I didn't bring this up at Public Works. But representing the city, Public Works Director, the city administrator, and I met with the school, with the superintendent and their director of their custodial staff, as well as Shepherd Center, to see if there is a possibility of moving forward with any pickleball courts. It was a very initial meeting of just trying to generate ideas. We're looking, the school is looking at cost to create a pickleball court next to the current tennis courts. The current tennis courts will probably not be able to be used for anything like that. And then we're looking, then we kind of split up to see if there's any public funds out there that can be had through donations through Dakota County or Dakota Electric, Excel, areas like that as well to help fund that. So it was just a very initial meeting, and I'm sure we'll be meeting again once all that information becomes available. So just to bring everybody up to date on that.
That's a big thing right now.
Yeah, it's surprising at how
Yeah.
it's taken off.
Well, that's great. Kathy?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
I don't either, but have a great night. The weather's good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? With
Second.
that, we are finished.